All this is Dr. Mobeen Sayed from drbeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So I think it was my video relay that was not good when we were having our last lecture. I downloaded the video, and even in my local recorded download on StreamYard, the video was not good. So how is my video now? Okay, so this is one, and I'm seeing here Matthew Miller arguing that somehow um, there is some. What is the question from Matthew? So at the very least, the video should be readdressed. Which video should be readdressed? So let's see. So Matthew says, please would you revisit your vaccine shedding video? The substantiating evidence in your counter arguments have been disproven by recent studies you have subsequently covered. No, not at all. Which study says that the vaccine sheds? That's just not the correct mechanism. So share any study. Maybe tomorrow we'll have some studies that would show the vaccine is shedding. There is no shedding's proof, and there is no mechanism. So I don't know why we keep getting hung up. This is why the actual discussion of talking about the things that should be corrected in case of vaccine side effects, they get buried in the same exact, they lump us all together to say they are just talking strange things. We'll see. So critical thought, is it still low res? I think it is something to do with my internet once more. Very blurry video. So I'm sure that this is, so what happens is my video from here goes to StreamYard, and then StreamYard further relays it. So either my video is not going there correctly, or StreamYard is not able to, they are under stress at this time. Something is. Okay, so Casey says plant-based might seem safer, but for those who have issues with allergies, could this be a real concern? So they said two things. Number one, they said in their trial so far, no one has had anaphylaxis. But also they did not talk about if anyone had the previous history of anaphylaxis and now did they have it or not. Second thing they said was, as you may have heard, that they said that we would still ask that anyone who has allergies to plants should not get it. For example, poison ivy or poison oak, if somebody had the anaphylaxis or allergic reaction to plants, should not take it. So, Tammy, will the kanamycin or carbenicillin, the thought is that their quantity should be really low, but yes, if somebody is allergic to them, they could. Doug says StreamYard. I love StreamYard, but sometimes this happens there are two times when this happens. One, my computer is updates and Windows forgets everything, and then it just resets my internet or network card to the onboard card instead of the external one. And it was actually a new computer, but this onboard card is horrible. So Best Buy did a number on it. So then I have to go and disable it once again and then enable the network one. So maybe my computer was updated last night. So maybe it's back in the same. Okay, so Hank is saying that the your screen share seems fine. So Matthew says the video presented mechanisms, though not to the mRNA vaccine, such as the vaccines don't travel around the body because injection can't get into the bloodstream and mRNA doesn't produce DNA. So the once again, let's say that some spike proteins end up in the blood. That doesn't mean that from there they would now start shedding. For something to shed out, there has to be a lot of mechanisms to be involved. And I have done that discussion before that for anything in the blood, if these things start shedding like this, then whatever is in our blood would be shedding all the time. There are some people who are called secretors, and Google them. Secretors are the people who sometimes develop a distaste in their mouth when they eat something or take some medicine because their saliva somehow gets that product in it. And ideally, it should not, but secretors have it. So, in some cases, can somebody be shedder in a very special way? Maybe, but I have never seen a proof of that because shedding of the spike protein is not with the SARS-CoV-2. Other coronaviruses have spikes as well. And it's not just the vaccine, then the coronavirus spikes should also be shedding. And the thing is, coronavirus spike does not shed, the virus itself sheds. And the virus sheds because it gets into the cell, it breaks a cell, comes out, and then goes out. Vaccines or even the virus's own limb has no capability of breaking down the cells in our throat and go out. And if that would happen, we would actually get a lot of other things shedding as well. So we'll wait for some studies that show it. I do not think that currently the mechanisms that are uncovered so far say that the vaccines shed. So I'm not going to further talk about it. Let's wait for more. Maybe as the information evolves, there is something that opens up and they say, look, we have actually collected the spike protein. We put a mirror in front of the mouth and we collected the breath, and here is a spike protein on it. Sure. Then the question will become, in the oral area or the nasal area, how come from the blood, if there is enough quantity of the protein and somehow that sufficient quantity that can go from the blood into the cell, disrupt the cell, break the barrier, come out on the epithelial surface, then get secreted in the mucosal lining, and then from there shed. How come it was strong enough to do that, but not cause systemic reactions in us? So there would be a lot of things to discuss at that time. It will be an interesting study if it happens, but not yet. Rima says, thank you for that great explanation. Thank you very much. Um, Meanwhile, in America says, do you think it's helpful to take Maraviroc for long COVID without statins, or they only work when they're taken together? So I have no experience with Maraviroc, zero. Majority of the patients and my family members, which I do not prescribe, I don't practice in the US, but majority of my patients actually IV, steroids, low dose naltrexone, and or fluvoxamine. That's it. And they recover. So there is one person though, remember Sean, who had been here? He has tried everything and he still is not well. I actually asked him a couple of days ago. Let me just very quickly read his notes. So I asked, how are you doing? And he said, things improved. Neuropathies, arrhythmia, fatigue, brain fog. Tinnitus is tragically very bad. So other things improved. And then he talked about some drug that he took, which actually caused a flare up. So he feels that it is 4 months into the issue and maybe it would not recover. And one, I think that we should continue to work on these because early stage still is prone to be corrected. And secondly, I shared with him there is someone named Kathleen Moore, if this is her real name, and she left a comment on my YouTube video yesterday or day before. It said, Dr. Bean, just wanted you to know my entire church is still praying for your friend Sean. Hope he's doing better. So I forwarded him this message as well. So, so some people don't get better, but majority does. And even in case of Sean, many of his symptoms have become better. It's the tinnitus which is still bothering him. Colin is here. Hey, Colin, how are you? Is the EUA still in effect? Why are vaccines still being made when it's clear from India's example that therapeutics work? So, Colin, this is a rhetorical question, right? You and I have been in contact for 2 years now. There are things that are larger than us in this case. And we, for example, the role I took was to start to educate. It's a shame, Colin, that the world is in this stage or in this state. So, Paul Borg, you guys are talking about BIOS. So I have, do you know that I used to program earlier? I used to love to write the boot sectors. So, and the BIOS, I used to, do the hooks or the interrupt request IRQs into the BIOS. Used to be fun. Yep. Yeah. Arima, for Sean, it is still a struggle. But he's brave. He's trying to help others during this process. Michelle says a very large solar flare occurred 2 days ago, and there are reports of communication issues. However, it's not possible to say whether it's affecting the maybe. Oh, I wanted to tell you something. Do you see I have no cough? No cough. And even before this, I did not take that lozenge either. So do you know what happened? This happened. This is so just like with my wife's eyes. She said that when the doctor said I can't help, I decided I'm going to help myself. So similarly, I told her yesterday, I said, we have tried everything. And I spoke with the doctor and he said, okay, maybe allergies, maybe we should do something about allergies, post nasal drip. Remember, I discussed that too. So my wife then made something we call Joshanda in our language. So it's a herbal thing. So she made me that herbal thing yesterday and said, please drink it. And now today she gave it back to me as well. And my throat is fine. Paul Borg says, you can remind him that we are all praying for him. I would do that. And Margaret, once again, happy birthday to you. And if Casey is here, Casey is here. Happy birthday to you as well, Casey. Yeah, no cough, no cough. And so that is so funny. Bambi, how are you doing? I saw your comment on the last one that you were tweezing the gray hairs here. Yes, magic, magic. This is it. 1 cup last night and 1 now. And the cough is gone. Yes, I am going to be banned badass doctor. Actually, discussing my wife's herbal medicines will be the banned thing. Margaret, I'll do that. Rima says, where do you think we are now? Rima, in terms of, sorry, I may have forgotten my context. John says prayers work. Absolutely work. Of course. So to the YouTube overlords and AI bots, prayers don't work. We would just do that if we are here. But we know prayers work. So we are truly nowadays ruled by AI and bots. The things that we say robots are going to rule us, they have already started ruling us. And this is one of way of their ruling, that they go through our transcripts and say, okay, you're bad, I'm going to ban you. Nipa, hello, how are you? So Margaret says, I hope that Mrs. Mubin Sayed writes a book of recipes. Me too. She Bambi says, I'm well, thank you, in bed now. Stop tweezing the crisp now. Okay. Yes, Dan says competition for Robitussin. Absolutely. Critical Thought says Dr. Z's. Yes, I can go find her. That what did she make? Let me see. She's usually very uh, shy to talk about it. Oh, Dr. Z is here. Look at that. I'm catching live. I missed you all. We've missed you as well. So let me see if she's there. Normally, she just does not want to make an appearance at all. But who knows? Let me see her. Maybe she can tell us what did she put in this Jushanda thing. Okay. So no luck. Her office door is closed, so she might be doing some work. Cynthia says, is it spelled Joshanda? Joshanda, Joshanda. But there are so many kinds of Joshanda. Generally, when our women, mothers, wives, they see that there is some throat kind of thing, and whatever herbal cocktail they have, what they have heard from their parents or read from somewhere, they use it. We call it generally Joshanda. So Joshandas can be of many types. Deb says, will you have your art class this week? It help us relax so we can rest. Absolutely. And would love to do it. I thought there was I would love to do it. So yes, this Thursday we'll do on the chit chat. And please tell me if you have been posting your your illustrations or drawings on Discord. I've not gone to Discord for some time, but let me see. And Dr. Z is here. Thank you for the warm welcomes. I've had live conferences to attend all April, different time zones, so haven't been able to attend. Got it. Well, welcome. Yes, London says special blend. Yeah, I was in such a bad state that I would not be able to laugh like I am doing right now, because as soon as I'll do it, my throat will become itchy and I'll cough. That's a good question. Ask her from her sleep magic. That's a good one. So Douglas Paul says, I make a tea called Blast Furnace Tea. Ginger, cayenne, black pepper, cinnamon, turmeric, orange peel. Previous flu and COVID original variant would give me the finger every time I drank a cup. This is so funny because yesterday when she said, I'm going to put some pepper and honey in this Joshanda and give it to you and you'll be okay in a few minutes. So I'm sure that there is some honey and for sure black pepper, but what else is there, I don't know. DDS says it's a new mic. Yes. So Dr. Z says you are sick, allergies, microphone change. So this is a more professional microphone. My other microphone break down. So I bought a new one and I thought I'll buy a better one. Although I'm still not fully up with the way to configure it. So it changes every day because every day I have to reset it, and so I'm learning how to use it. So in my pains in my hand. So maybe. And yes, my screen here from StreamYard shows my signal to be really weak. So it is something with my network today. I'm going to re-look at the network card settings after this. Doug is saying that my mic is working great. So here is the fun thing with this mic. I've heard that this mic is really popular. So if you go very close to it and speak, hello, this is Dr. Mubin Sayed. They say the voice becomes really lush and warm. And if you go away, it becomes really thin. So I have never seen mics doing this in the past. Dana King says, Dr. Mrs. Bean, I want to be her patient. Yes, me too. I am the patient. So it is so funny that we had been trying all kinds of things for so many days. You know it. I was coughing every day. And here we are. John says it sounds like NPR. Yes. So Les Smith says the mic preamp is at least as important. All cardio mics do that. So I'll show you what I have for the current setup. Let me go to this place and I'm going to bring. So I have a cloud lifter, this guy. So from the mic, the input is going to the cloud lifter. It is a clean preamp, so it kind of amplifies by, I believe, 19 or 20 decibels, but clean. And then I have Go XLR, this guy. It is a beautiful product, Go XLR. And I love it. It's just that there are so many settings and I'm still learning how to use them. But these two things together make it very different. So Megamuzi has a good question. Would woodworm used for parasites have any antiviral value? It has to be tested. So many molecules can do many things, like IV has been known to do anti-inflammatory things. So maybe, but needs to be tested. So Lernan says, could it be just enough days for the self-healing process to work? It could be, but if you watch my video yesterday, I was totally out of it. I was not able to speak a couple of sentences without either stopping or lowering my voice because I'll have the itch. So yesterday was actually worse than previous days. And it was so much worse that after the talks, I said, man, I cannot even talk anymore. And I thought by now I should be done. Instead, it is increasing. And that is when she jumped in the action and she said, okay, I'm going to fix you. And here we are. John says, however, Dr. Bean, you have much better content than NPR. Thank you very much. It is the content developed by all of us together. Dana King says, please post the tea recipe. Definitely. So I will ask her to tell me the secret to Shanda and I would post it. I have to post it somewhere where YouTube doesn't come after me. So Dr. Z, totally fine. It's just that I usually don't care much if I'm not well. I continue, but this was my voice, so I could not get rid of the cough, and so then everybody would experience it that I'm struggling with speaking. So that was not the best. Possible, possible. So she saw me quite heartbroken yesterday. The reason was there are some very important topics that we are talking about, and in every topic I'm coughing. And so I became so frustrated that, and yesterday I had taken 2 lozenges before the talk. So yesterday I was complaining that I took 2 lozenges before the talk. It still didn't do anything. I was still coughing and it looked so bad. So this thing has actually a mute button for coughing, this Go XLR, but it is over there. I'm not yet in a habit of pressing it. So I was just um, complaining, and she said, "Okay, wait, I'm gonna come back with the Joshanda." And now, before this talk as well, she said, "Here is your Joshanda." DDS, that's a good question. I do not know. Maybe, but correct. So Rima is saying that I was, yes, even Rima, you commented that your cough is bad or something like that. So yesterday was bad. Yes. So Manuka honey went in it and black pepper went in it. What else? I do not know. Correct, Maggie Moose. There was that never ending scratch tickle here. Texas Miss Queen Beans Kitchen Channel. Yes. AJ Lacau is good. He says, post it as a throat refreshing drink. Yes, I think I should do that. Yes. Good. Thank you. Tika says, for cough, I do pink salt, Himalayan warm water, and gargle. That I would agree. And this is the only one thing that I had not tried. And every morning or every so often, I would remember that, oh, I should try gargles, and then I'll forget. So, do you know how this salt water helps? What happens is, so I can't live without sharing these things. So, actually, my doctor said that to me as well. He said, why don't you gargle with the salt water? So, his point was it soothes you, but maybe that is just because he cannot explain the mechanism to everyone. So, he has just found this thing that it soothes you. What happens is, let's say this is throat, the posterior wall of the throat, and there are cells here, correct? And so these cells have inflammation, and that inflammation is causing them to be swollen and scratchy because the nerves that are here are also irritated by the local inflammatory markers, and so they are causing the feeling of scratch and we are coughing. Now, what happens is when you gargle with the salty water, so let's say this is the salty water. So, one benefit of the gargle is that you are kind of creating a dynamic environment, and that would wash out some of these markers and that would help. However, even more fun is that when the salt is present, salt's job or sodium's job is that it moves, right? So sodium is an osmotic molecule. So it can pull the water or take the water or go towards the water depending upon the situation. So if the sodium is sitting outside here, so let's say this is a cell, this area has fluids and around that and inside it, and sodium is sitting here, sodium is going to combine with these mucuses and take them out, plus it's going to pull water out. When it would pull the water out, the local swollen cells and irritated cells would calm down because they'll go back to their normal size, and all of a sudden they'll feel better. Quinn says Alcuin has been banned from better establishments than Twitter. Sorry about that. Alcuin, I have been banned and nowadays being cancelled. So Robin says, I sip on warm lemonade made with fresh mere lemon juice, a couple drops of liquid stevia and boiling water. Very nice. I was coughing for so many days that I was just in that protest state that what the heck, I'm not doing anything. I'm done. So Jeannie says, love this science. Thank you. Ashley says, oh man, so this reminds me, I had to continue with the vagus dysfunctions. I know you've done a video on the vagus nerve, but have you talked all about the studies on vagus nerve dysfunction connected to long COVID in more detail? No, I had to do it. And that was a series I was doing. And then came these exosomes, and then came these ADEs. And now there is another talk, natural killer cells and ADE. I'm going to look into that. I hope it's not some um, crazy theory, uh, and that might be another interesting one to discuss. But I have to continue with the vagus dysfunction. And that correct. And meanwhile, in America, that is correct as well. If there are pathogens, it would take them out as well. But you could suspect that in my case, COVID was long before, and now there are allergens or just inflammation. So the pathogens, of course, we always have the normal flora, but that was not the problem. So it actually kind of pulls the water and takes the water with it. And so it kind of washes the place. Plus, imagine something is all puffed up, and if you relieve it, that would become better and the irritation would go away, like the puffer fish. Kini, thank you very much. And have a good night if you are going to be hanging up. Absolutely, Ashley. And that was my hope, was to start working on the purely on the long COVID, because people are suffering badly. And these topics became a distraction. Sometimes I wish that I can just do 2 talks in a day, one by noon and one in the evening. And so in one, I can continue to do these long COVID type series. And then in the evening, current, whatever is up in the air at that time. But then my whole business structure and my other tasks would all just, be, then you will all have to support me. So Casey says, are there studies that show consuming local raw honey helps with allergies? I have not read them or found them. So I'm sure that if we search for them, we'll find something. So this is very interesting question. Can we talk CDC and masks? People are so confused about what to do. Can we look at Poland? So I don't even know the masks. What are they saying now? Our good friends at CDC. Is there a new mask guidance from CDC? Wear a mask when there is a lot of COVID in your community. Wear a mask in public places. It looks like a poem they have written. Wear a mask in public places where there are a lot of people around you. Then the mask must cover your nose. The mask must cover your mouth. The mask must fit under your chin. Okay, so that's it. Mask must be snug on your face. Make sure it's easy to breathe. If you visit someone who might get very sick from COVID-19, wear a mask when you're with them. So, March 21, when there's a lot of COVID in your community, right? I don't know what is the meaning of lot of COVID? Rambling Rose says, no more on planes or on public transportation here in Boston. Elquin says, CDC was going to extend mandates, so court said, cut it out. um, PRID drawing salve, does it work? Doug, what is PRID drawing? I am not aware of it. Sorry. So, Tika, I have been using those things. The only thing I did not do was gargles, but I have been taking supplements and taking these various things. I didn't do what we say desi, meaning manuka honeys or peppers or joshandas. And here I am. So Paul says that COVID cases, let's look at that. And Paul would have some more data this week. And Poland coronavirus pandemic country. Okay, so I do not know if they are testing and they are reporting, but their cases are down. If I go to, do they have hospitalizations here? Confirmed cases, cumulative, confirmed cases per million. Today we have Doug here, so he can say the. So one more thing, this mic has a setting to kind of have the noise gate set to a level that you cannot hear the mouse or the keyboard. So are you able to hear the mouse? So here, daily new confirmed COVID-19 deaths. Let's see. So they are really down. They have come down in Feb 18, 250. This was daily new. From 250 on Feb, what was the date? Feb 18, my birthday, to April 16, February, March, April. So almost 2 months later, they are down to 29 from 250. So 9 times. Tiny duck mouses. It's actually not dead, but I could actually set up the mouse noise in a way that, meaning the equalizer, in a way that it would not pick up this sound. That was very interesting. Casey says, "Poor Ducky." No, it is here. Don't be too sad about him or it. Kini say, "Long live tiny duck." And Kini, you made a mouse for the duck. So Bill Burner says CDC has a map on their website where they show where COVID levels are high. I am sure that they could. So that's a good question, Matthew, about the hypothesis that nicotine acetylcholine receptors play a role in COVID pathophysiology. And so there was a study from France as well in the early days of COVID that they showed that patients who were smokers, giving them nicotine patches were helping. And the thought was that nicotine was covering the receptors or blocking the receptors. So this Medicago, I do not know if the plant, and there can be a preparation that would have the leaf with nicotine, but in theory, yes. So on the news tonight, they said corona rising, but no mention of hospitalizations or deaths. So yeah, so people don't want you to go away. So they are just continuously hanging people back in to say, come back, corona is still there. I don't see John today. John usually have the latest numbers, or Texas may have. Texas, what have you read? Rambling Rose says, I'm concerned because Boston numbers are rising. So let's look at that. Mm. So April 19, that is today. And once again, 19, Casey and Margaret McInnes, happy birthday. So here we went from March 16, March 16? This is April. So about a month ago, 812 cases to today, 2,700, from 812 to 2,000. So more than about 2.5 times. So yes, they're rising. But also remember, they came down from January 10, 64,715 cases, 64,000 down to 2,000. And now let's see, 2,700, 3,000. Let's see. I hope it would not continue, but we'll see. Your concern is correct. If I see here cases, 67% up, 14-day change. Tests, plus 3%. Hospitalized, 41%. That is bad. And ICU plus 3%, and deaths minus 18%. So deaths are reducing, but these cases that just increased, we'll have to see a couple of weeks later, what do they do? Daily new hospital admissions by age in Massachusetts. Okay, so that's interesting. 70 plus 9, 60 to 69 1.4. This is per 100,000. So under 18 1, 18 to 29 0.7. So almost 70 plus or more. Hotspots. So I used to live in Massachusetts as well, near Providence. Oh, look at this. 126% increase. Barbara, how is Lotus? Click the love like button. Yes, thank you. So Ashley says, why is Africa not being discussed more in the news? People were worried they would be slammed due to low vaccines. They have some of the lowest death rate. Yeah, that's true. And there were people who were being very dramatic about it. And Africa is just chugging along. We are stuck. So if I go to our world in data and let's go to South Africa, we should invite our friend from South Africa back on talk someday. So yeah, so South Africa had this was their peak in December when the Omicron started. And then now they are just in a very low, I would say, endemic type state. Do you hear the tiny mouse, Doug? I am scrolling. Are you able to hear the tiny duck? I said duck. We confirmed deaths. So this is February 20. They had a peak. Before that, they had a peak in July. So this peak probably was the increased cases in December. But now they are, luckily, their death rate had gone down as well. It is gone up from 7 to 11 in between this week. So we'll see. Maple Art says, no bleep. I actually have on this one, I can bleep myself. So I can say things and let's see if I can do it. Okay, tell me if you heard the. Do you hear bleep? I can actually do that. So John says, does the mouse identify as a duck? We'll have to ask the mouse, or maybe we cannot ask. So Doug says, I'm going to my phone, so no more chatting. Good night, all. Rest in peace, tiny duck mouse. Good night, Doug. John says, I'm cursing. At least, even if I'm not cursing, I can look like I'm. Matthew says, mouse replies, quack. Lernan says, trans mouse. Okay, we need to leave the mouse alone before it stops working. Igor says that censoring is funny. Yes, so all the bells and whistles, correct. The my mic and my setup was not great. If you look at my videos 2 years ago, they were even worse. And I thought I should improve my presentation. And that is really, once again, for you. It sounds so cheesy, so I become shy saying these things. But anyways, Skyfrog says, good night, Doug. I mean, Doug. Yes, maybe we should all, send these tiny ducks to Doug Boss. Sorry, Doug Gross. Matthew says, with the nicotine variant vaccine you reviewed, there wasn't any mention of immunological longevity. When it's claimed 71% efficacy, is that only temporary, perhaps nothing to do with the bacteria? So we have no idea, because they're still in trial. So this data that they collected is kind of October something last year, to give us, to request for rolling review and approvals. So they still don't have that data. And even if the data is here, they would need some months to figure out the efficacy, at least 4 months after. So maybe those patients or persons who had it in October, they can look at their vaccine levels, their antibody levels now, to see if they have waned or not. I would assure you that they would have waned, because waning is our mechanism, not a vaccine's. Rima says, no ducks and no mice. Thank you. Meanwhile, in America says, looks like I'm bleeping, cursing. So yeah, I have that button. That's true. I can say things and bleep them. Did you do PA? They're going crazy with masks. PA, Philadelphia or Pennsylvania? PA, which state? Tell me. My apologies. Don't don't be upset with the poor. My brain only has one task: medicine, reading, business part of it, and just presenting. That's my mission. So I keep my brain empty from any other facts. Doug Paul says, good night. Good night, Doug. Hey, Jody, you are here while we are planning to break. Welcome. Lernan says, congratulations on being a new YouTube partner. What do the YouTube analytics tell you? Is the main channel back on the rise? Yes. So if we look at the main channels, fewer videos now. For example, remember the situation had become that, let me open up the channel on here, analytics. The situation had become that we would not get, for the topics that we'll discuss, more than 3,000-4,000 views. So that is what had happened. And now, if I look at some of the talks, for example, yesterday's talk has 32,400, which is interesting more. The 4 days ago talk, 60,000. 5 days ago, 21,000. 6 days ago, 160,000. Then, if I go to the video I uploaded about this over this weekend, summary of the vaccine generated spike protein, 47,000. University of Arizona study, but I put in the title incorrect snake venom theory, and I'm sure that some folks has read that and said, I'm not watching it. Still 9,000. And then before that, summary of ADE, 69,000. So relative to my own channel's performance, it has improved. So thank you everyone to actually bring the chit chat on this channel, and that channel is now thriving. Question Philadelphia. Pen. Okay, so let's look at that. So New York Times. So daily average March 24. So let's look at this peak. January 13, their peak was somewhere about 28,000. January 12, 20 new thousand, 20 new 29,941 in January 12. Then they went down to April 2, April 26, and so on to 726. So from 30,000 to 1,000. So 30 time reduction. And now compared to that, they've gone to 1,100. So 10% increase. But here it says cases in 14 days, 105% doubled. How is that possible? 726 to this. So today is April 19. 14 days will be 5 April. 797 to 732. So I don't know. Okay, so to 15. Okay, yes. So they have doubled. So in 15 days, 14 days, the cases have doubled. Hospitalizations are still actually negative. ICU is negative 27% and deaths are negative 19%. So it's not really at this moment. I don't know why they are becoming so sensitive. Maybe they're afraid of these kind of waves to occur again. So we'll see. I don't think we'll have those waves. And I am so bad at not sharing these and just talking about you, talking about these things. So here, this was the wave, and this is the low time, and they're just back here. So not too much. So with this, Alcuin made this nice. Oh, is that the Among Us? Skyfrog, how is your flying going? Paul, good night. Yes, if you've already hit the like button, don't don't hit it again. So with this, the usual parting salutation. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Flying is great, awesome. So we should meet someday, and I will go flying with you. Rima says they just imposed mask mandates. Wow. So Helene, I did uh, cases in Philadelphia. I googled them, and then New York Times came up, which had the with the graph on it. JLB says, did you see the article about Times about Pfizer? Not yet. And to sorry, from the article, I thought about link, and then from the link, I'm going to ban the links on this channel as well, because if you see, there are so much trash channels and porn site links that people are just adding. Of course, not the KoolBeens, but opportunistic folks. So I'll have to ban the links once more here as well. So with this, thank you very much for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is a smaller channel. Help it to grow. And if you would like to support this work, there is a link in the description. You can buy DrBeen, or you can use PayPal, or you can buy me a coffee, or you can become a patron. Thank you very much, and I would see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.